Hey everybody, this is Abby from Realistic Kitchen and Gardens. Today is Sunday, Easter, April 20th, here in my Zone 6A Southern Ohio garden. And I wanted to show you, start off with the apples, which has just opened today. Yay! It's been so windy though. There's already petals missing from these things. It's only their first year in the ground, so I'm not expecting fruit from these, and arguably I should remove any fruit that tries to form so that they can focus on really establishing themselves in the ground. So these are both Honeycrisp apples planted last fall. This one must have gotten hit pretty bad with the last frost we had a couple days ago, because almost all the buds are there died off. We're supposed to get some rain tomorrow, but I wonder if it's too dry. But there are the apples. The blueberries were planted early this week, and they're only 18-month plants, so they're itty bitty. I mean, they're alive. They just don't have a lot of buds or anything on them, so we'll see how they do. I mean, I'm not expecting them to fruit this year or next. So I have a pair of each type. These are Patriot, which are early variety. These two here in the middle are Northland, which is a mid variety. And then this is Jersey and its sibling partner, which is a late variety. So we'll see how they do. Again, I'm not expecting fruit this year, maybe next year, but probably the year after that. Sorry, I had to put the scoop down. So on to the very thin gravy that we have so far of the actual garden. I still need to do my garden plan video for y'all, so you know even what's in my head, but I kind of go over it each time anyway. But we'll start with A. This will be where my tomatoes go. Oh, by the way, we are just about 2 to 3 weeks before our last estimated frost date, roughly May 3rd. I'm going to give it an extra week though, because this year has been wonky. So this will be where the tomatoes go. We'll do the trellis like last year, just one panel on this side so the tomatoes lean against it and can be tied to it. And then this is the spring carrots, the weedy looking spring carrots and shallots. You can see them more on this side because I weeded this side yesterday or day before. So this is conserver shallot, and they go right down in a little row. And then the carrots are enjoying the warm weather. It's almost 80 degrees again today. It was the same yesterday, I think the day before too, but the carrots are starting, Valero and Nante's carrots are starting to put their first true leaves on. B is potatoes. So this first section up to this stake is shoot, the name always goes right out of my head. And speaking of which, there is some Carla Rosa. There we go, came to mind, which is an early variety red potato. Known for its storage, but with red potatoes, you don't really, for me, they're going to be used this season, so it's not that big a deal. And then the middle variety is Eva, which is a storage variety gold potato. And on the end is, I have no names in my head today. This is going to be a fun video. Caribou russet. So, again, also a storage variety. Again, I'm focusing on storage varieties this year. You'll have to excuse the very long grass in the rows. I tried to mow them, but we only have an electric mower, so I did as much as I could with the battery that we had at the time. Row C is going to be I believe celeries and peppers and okra. Row D, catnip, which I grow as a companion plant more than anything for the flowers. Pollinators absolutely love it, but it does not care about the cold. This has been in the ground since last summer, and we had a frost 3-4 days ago, so having a great time. This will be the gourd arch, which on this side will be watermelons and cantaloupes, which I'll try to train up the trellis. We'll see if it works. I did seed in some bachelor's buttons. Here's one little patch, I think. Maybe not. Maybe. No, here it is. This is the bachelor's buttons. I don't know. It's too young in seed to know, and it keeps getting covered up by all this stuff in the in the row. The rest of this, these are the trellises that'll go in this row for the cucumbers. The rest of this will be cucumbers once it's warmed up. I have seeded my cucumbers inside, but they'll be transplanted out once it's obviously warm enough. And on the other end of row E, this will be a staggered planting of green onions and lettuces. A goal this year I have is to continuously try to seed lettuces every 2 weeks. So there's one stake here, and from here to the end is 16 feet divided in 4 chunks. 1, 2, 3, and 4, wherever that is. It's hard to see on the screen for me. But I have these little stakes. So this is the green onions, and then Adriana and Landis. Adriana is supposed to be heat tolerant. Landis is supposed to be cold tolerant. Why I'm bothering with Landis, I have no idea, but that's the seed I have. So in 2 weeks, I'll plant another patch here. 2 weeks after that, I'll do here. And 2 weeks after that is here. So the last planting, I think, will be roughly May 28th. And I'm also going to stick in some straw flower in pairs. I have some seeded out, and they're getting big. So this section will be some snapdragons, and right here will be the zucchini, bush zucchini. Here's the actual bachelor's button. So I don't know where the other, I seeded out 4 other patches, so I have no idea where they went. But this is certainly bachelor's buttons. This is a volunteer of some wildflower variety that I don't know. And then this will be where the winter squash go on the side, and they'll climb up. Ooh, the peas are loving the warmth. Look at this. Champion of England, shelling pea. These, and I think there's 15, I think. This so far is the largest one, but we're just long enough to start hopefully clutching on to the trellis and go up. They're supposed to be between 7 and 10 feet tall, so they got some time. And then there's Surge shelling pea, which I want you to take note of all these crazy tendrils. Surge is supposed to be a variety that not only is grown for the shelling pea, but they're also grown for the tendrils that some people will eat, like bean sprouts, pea shoots, that kind of thing. That's technically a pea shoot too. And then here is little purple snow pea, which are just grown for their pods, flat pods, commonly in stir fries. And then this last bit on the end is the Golden Jubilee anise hyssop that overwintered itself from last year in a raised bed in the shade. So this does show frost damage pretty bad. Like this is crispy from the frost we had a couple days ago, but it's coming back. It's not really my favorite plant. Like, it's kind of licoricey, anisey, and it's not my cup of tea, though people do drink it for tea. I'm so funny. And then the 2 different rows of onions. This half the row will be, I have no idea. I can't remember. But there's this half of the onions, which are all sweet white onions, which don't store as well. But there's, I don't know if you can see the tag, but I think the tag is right there. So this is all sterling variety. And then all the rest of it from, I think, there, wherever the tag is, and 2 bunches of ringmaster white onions. So if all of these do well, hopefully like they should, I will try to do my own onion powder and little diced onion, that kind of thing. But these were all starts from Dixondale Farms. I think they're out of Texas, if I remember off the top of my head. Here's my failed patch of overwintering onions and shallots. I apologize for the wind. This is the only white onion that made it of High Keeper. And then the rest are all shallots. So there's 1, 2, that might be one, or it might be grass. I think that's an onion, it's hollow. We'll call this 4, 5, and a 6. So those are all the conservation, Zebrun shallots that I planted last year. So the new plan, since there are so darn few of them, is I will move them to some spots I have open down here and pull this tarp up and do a big patch of wildflowers that'll direct sow once it warms up a little bit more. Gosh darn the wind. Hopefully it's not too bad for y'all. God, look at that giant, look at this giant thistle in here. These things hurt like a son of a gun when you step on them. I gotta get my shovel and pull them out and not run it with the mower, because then it just flings sharp points everywhere. And then this is all Patterson onions. So Patterson onions are a good storage type onion, yellow storage type onion. They're about the size of a small average apple, which I really enjoy the size of nowadays, rather than those great big huge honkin', there's another one. It looks almost like artichoke. Sorry, my dirt brain. So these are all, this is 3 bunches of Patterson onions. So we'll see how that does. And then all the garlic, looking pretty darn good. Let me show you the size of some of this, because I'm really impressed. I have done nothing to this. Finger test. These are nice, big, and chunky. And I haven't, like I said, I haven't done anything to these. These are just how they've come up on their own from being planted last, I think it was darn near November by the time I got them in, because I was so so heavily pregnant. Shoot. So the way you tell that garlic is ready to harvest, if you look at this variety right here, look at all the yellow tips on it. The way you tell garlic is ready to harvest is when the outermost leaves, the ones closest to the ground, are all yellow and crispy. So it's the end of April. It's the middle end of April. These might be ready pretty darn early this year. This variety anyway. I don't even know what it is. I don't have the varieties out here. I have it saved on my growing app, which is called The Garden Planner, which I pay for through Territorial Seeds. It's only 30 bucks a year, so it's nice and cheap. And then this is going to be the legume row. This is where the squashes were last year, pumpkins and all that. This is the row. This is the path, and this is the last row. So I have a lot of work to do before I get beans in here. So this half will be basically right up to that stake will be pole beans. So I'll be doing a tall trellis made of bamboo stakes. And then the second half is going to be peanuts, Virginia peanuts, which is a new crop for me this year. We'll see how they do. And then this row is going to be another new crop for me, 2 new crops this year. for me, mostly because I just have the seed for this one. I'm going to try sweet corn planted in pairs, so 2 rows in this one row, and I think it's going to be 22 or 24 plants of each variety, so I'm doing 2 varieties, so we'll see how it does. They're both supposed to be extremely early varieties, but if we can grow our own sweet corn, it would be nice. It's not the end of the world, but it would be nice. And lastly is my usual chaos of spring brassicas. I am becoming infamous to myself about starting brassicas early in the spring and then dawdling to transplant them out. So by the time I get them out, they're super pot bound and angry. So starting with the cauliflower, early snow cauliflower, it's not that big a deal. These were seeded out, what's the date on that? February 11th. So it's been plenty of time. So these are 9, 10, 11 weeks old. Oh, hi, tick. At least it's a big tick and not one of those nymphy ones, but hi. Wear your bug spray, everyone. Me toddling around out here in bare feet. So I have 3 early snow cauliflower, and then this is what I was talking about if you follow my Facebook page. My poor cauliflower is trying to head in these 2.5-inch pots inside. So I didn't harden them off. I just transplanted them out and said the worst that happens is you guys bolt, but you're not going to produce a crop inside anyway. So here's early snow. No, Fujiyama. Sorry, this is Fujiyama. All 3 of them are heading already. And debatably, if you look at the size of the head compared to the plant, it's a pretty good size head. And then this is Tiara cabbage, which is a tried and true for me both spring and summer. And then Katarina cabbage, which is a new variety for me this year, but I've been told that it's a good variety for my chaotic area. And then one more new crop for my garden is mustard. I'm going to be growing mustard for the mustard seed, not necessarily for the greens, but the greens are obviously edible too. They just have a bit of a bite and they can be bitter, but we're not really leafy green people. Sorry, I'm trying to fix this row cover because there's of course cabbage moths already. I did a little row right here of yellow, either yellow or white, whatever you want to call it, it's the same plant, mustard. And then I have my 3 Chinese cabbage, which is spelled minuet, but it might be pronounced minute, I have no idea. But Chinese cabbage, I'll be making another batch of kimchi. And then I have these 2 patches of what needs to be watered ground. I know it doesn't look great, but this is what clay does. Sand or not, this is what clay does when it gets wet and then dry. I did 1 more line, a straight line of yellow mustard, and then I did 2 lines right here of brown mustard. One of the tags says black, but I don't have black mustard. And then I did 1 little just splatter patch kind of thing of sweet alyssum, which is a small short flower that's supposed to be a good companion to brassicas. And I also did a single row at the very edge of the row of alyssum as well. Again, they're supposed to be a good companion. I'm trying to do better about flowers this year, so ta-da. But that's about it. If you like this kind of stuff, please like, comment, and subscribe for more. If you have questions, go ahead and ask them below. And what are you most excited for this year for the growing season? Do you have anything you're excited for, or are you just like me and see what shows up? All right, happy Easter. Thanks. Bye.